Good evening. May I say touchdown? Game is on. It is amazing to be here in front of you all today to share about a better chance, a better community. ABC squared, which is my mathematical background, that is correct. But it's called ABC2 in the community. So we call it affectionately ABC2. So I'm amongst educators, it is ABC squared. So we'll go to the next slide. Next slide, please. So I am Chester Williams, the founder and CEO, the Chief Empowerment Officer of this lovely organization that's entering our 11th year of service in activating youth power and community upbuilding. As you see in our mission statement, we connect rural communities with resources to activate youth power and advocate for realistic solutions and healthier lifestyle. We truly believe that we're changing the world one community at a time. And I want to thank the CHI for this opportunity because you have been intentional with in your conferences and the work that you do to be inclusive and amplify the voice of young people. So it's not a show, it's real. And we appreciate that. We saw that throughout the conference today. Even though we have this segment, it is the fourth quarter, so we're going to take it home with our young people. Next slide. So this organization was founded by some handsome, snuggly guy named Chester, yes, in Halifax County, to be able to just take young people where they are, to take what Dr. McGill called their gifts, and turn their gifts and passion to the work that we call community change. To be a part of the process, to be at the table, to be a part of that change, so they instill pride in who they are and where they're from, so when they leave, they stay connected to what the purpose is, no matter where they go. We do want them to come back home, as we see that many have started to come back home to continue this work in progress. Next slide. So we have 7 values. It's up there. You can read them. I'm not going to read them out to you. I'm amongst educators, right? But we do value young people to be at the table and to promote and create community change and health, and young people being the leaders of this work. And we, as the adult allies we just instill and provide the platform and the opportunity. Next slide. Next slide. So, as you have heard, my mathematical background, specifically mathematical physics. So the elements of ABC2, I love this slide because it goes to the periodic table. How many of y'all know about that periodic table? Absolutely. So these are the elements of ABC2. Of course, healthy living. And I give this to Mary Ann in our PTA days. Okay, so it's healthy eating and active living all together as one. And that's one of the things that really lead ABC2 into who we are. When we got 5 young people together back in 2012, it was to ask the young people, what do you want to do? And would you believe it or not, it was to grow food. Okay? So that tells you that young people even then still thinking about what's important to them is growing food, because we hear today, child hunger is an issue. Young people know it's an issue. They want to be a part of the change. They don't want to be talked about. They want to be included because they know some of the solutions. Also, as civic engagement, we're always empowering people to be at the table of change, to be able to be civically engaged but civically responsible. How do I articulate that message that's going to resonate and take it home, that's going to evoke that change in our communities? ABC2, we're known for a party with a purpose. But what's one thing we know? Well, 2 things. Music and food connects all of us. So we bring that to the community and we can have conversations. Conversations that may be with unlikely partners, but we're connected by those most common things that are normal in our life. Then 3, our World Changes program, which is dedicated to young people ages 5 to 30. Yes, because they need that support, because that's the generation we always talk about that's not included. Or they leave home, they're in college. Or they're not connected because they should be at home, focusing on studying, getting an education, etc. But also they're part of the democracy, the work that we all champion for. And then 4 is entrepreneurship, of course, creating a business, but also creating programs and how do you sustain those programs and take ownership of those programs, whether it's in your school, in your community, or beyond. Next slide. So I will pass it to my colleague, Makayla Johnson, to talk about ABC2 101.
All right, hi everybody. Like Chester said, my name is Makayla Johnson. I am the Director of Diversity and Inclusion for ABC2. So this very full slide is ABC2 101. We do a lot of things, like a lot. If you ask my mom and my grandmother, we are in meetings and doing more things than the president. But I'm gonna read a few things from this slide that kind of have to do with health and food and just what this entire conference is about, but remembering that all these programs that we're going to mention, all these events that we mention, are youth-led and youth participate in them. So at ABC2, we have a focus within recreation equity, and recreation is more than just spaces and places. Recreation is healthy food access maps, so allowing communities to be able to go online to see where healthy food is available to them if they live in a food desert. Community walk audits. We held a walk audit in my hometown of Scotland at North Carolina, and that was a great opportunity for generations to come together to assess the walkability of the town that they live in, where they're able to put in their input and send the results to their local government. We also participated within the historic Halifax Farmers Market, where local farmers were able to come to historic Halifax and show off what they have and make a profit. At ABC2, we are the proud owner of a 2-acre community farm, which was started by those original members of ABC2. We are a part of a youth food council, Grow K Food Council. We are also a lead partner with School Meals for All, but we also wanted to take the time to talk about the civic engagement parties that Chester mentioned. We believe in food, music, and fun and education. And civic engagement is not just something for the adults, it's something for the entire family. So our census parties, our party to the polls, and our party at the polls, and our VAX equity parties all have a focus in advocacy and bringing the education to the people. For example, during our early voting season that just passed, we had a bajillion party at the poll sites at actual election offices where people were able to come up, they could get a meal, and then go have their civic duty. We also hold redistricting forums, specifically focusing on the Moore v. Harper case, as well as Youth Candidates Forum, and we also have a very invested interest in lowering the NC voting age to 16. Next slide, please. So this very long slide is the family that we have at ABC2. I'm not going to go through all of the specific ABC2 family, but a lot of our team is youth-led, so we practice and we walk the talk, guys. A lot of the people that are on these teams are high school students, college students, and also people that are very invested in making sure that where they live, play, and work is as great as it can be. Next slide. Now I'll pass it to Chester to talk about the Healthy Opportunities Pilot Program.
Thank you. And as you saw those different titles, those titles are very unique and created by the young people in the positions they hold. So it's a reflection of who they are and their gifts and passions. And before I go, I want to say, Zoom doesn't do y'all justice. I've seen many of you on Zoom, but in person, y'all are amazing. So I want to talk about the Healthy Opportunities Pilot Project. You heard about that earlier. And I want to just mention a little bit more because ABC2 is one of the HSOs, or Human Service Organizations, that's provided the food domain. So we provide food boxes, small and large boxes, healthy meals, and also fruits and vegetable prescriptions. And on April 1st, we'll be doing interpersonal violence services in the Violence Prevention Program. Next slide, please. Awesome. So the pilot is created, as you heard earlier, was to be able to address some of the needs in our community, but looking at it from a social determinant perspective. And the reason why I want to mention here is because we work with a lot of young people and students and their families who are on managed Medicaid, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of our young people are on CHIP. So we want to make sure that they have access to this program that we're offering, because the eligibility for this program is about physical and behavior environments, or what it is that impact us in our community. And many of us represent, especially in the pilot program, which is in Access East, which is in northeastern North Carolina. We have the Cape Fear in the southeast, and then we have the mountains. These are very impacted communities where it's hard to count, hard to vote, hard to have access to health care. So the HOPS program is a pilot that's really addressing that. So if you can assist us in getting the word out, and just ask people just to turn their Medicaid card over and call the number to talk with their care manager to find out. Next slide. So at our ABC2, we purchased the former Dawson Elementary School in Halifax County, where yes, and we're turning into a resiliency hub to be able to address food insecurity and other insecurity that ails not just Halifax County, but the residents of northeastern North Carolina. And these are the various teams where we have a shared production kitchen, we do the hot and cold meals, nutrition classes, and we're gonna have partnership with Berlin and the nutrition education program there, and then the diabetes management classes and other things that are coming. Next slide. So that's the information if you live in northeastern North Carolina, but if you need more information about the HOPS program, see me afterwards. Next slide. And I will pass it back to Makayla to wrap us up.
All right, thank you. Next slide, please. So guys, this is gonna be quick. We're running out of time. So this is, the next couple of slides are just gonna be programs that ABC2 has. We are a 4-H club, Hands with Purpose. We are part of Growing Real Opportunities with Kids, the Northeastern North Carolina Regional Connections Meeting, which is a meeting for the region of Northeastern North Carolina to resource share and everything like that. We are part of the Southeastern Halifax Coalition and also the North Carolina Gender and Sexualities Alliance. Next slide, please. You guys saw this very wonderful flyer earlier, but for those who missed it, here's the QR code, the flyer. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is our Breaking the Stigma color run. It's very fun. If you guys have never been to a color run, I suggest that you try to come out. It was March 25th, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the Dawson Resiliency Hub. The flyer is here with the QR code, but you can see myself or Chester later for some more information. Next slide, please. Follow us on Instagram, ABC2NC. Next slide, and thank you.
ABC2 out.